Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Rigaku CQL, and just for reference, today is January 29th, 2025. If anything changes, that way you know. So this is a Raman spectroscopy device, and just some notes on what that can do. So it's chemical identification and classification. It has a single wavelength laser in here to excite the covalent bonds, and that's what it's reading off of. And then we could put the material, everything's going to be scanned off this part right here, and we got a couple of different attachments I'll show during this. Just be careful with it on dark materials and potential explosives, as the laser could cause them to set off. And what this cannot identify are metals, purely ionic salts, water, fluorescent materials, biologicals, and complex mixtures. But let's go ahead and actually using it. So again, I just started up. So this is the screen you're going to get when you start it up, and then you can just tap the screen or press enter. So this takes us to our start screen. So you see it has a self-test here. So on our daily or on our weekly checks, or whenever we're going to use the machine and we have the time, we're going to run a self-check on it. So all you have to do is hit self-check or self-test. We have acetaminophen, which is here in the bag that should be inside the kit. I'm not going to run it right now because I already ran it before this, but the acetaminophen is what we're going to run. It has a calibration scan as well, and we have the vial for that in there as well. But the calibration you only need to change if there was maintenance done or you think it's not reading correctly. So we'll set it up to do a scan. So there's several different ways we can scan with this thing. One of the nice things about it is we can just go scan stuff that's sitting out in the open, just like this powder right here. So I'm going to change some settings on here that are default. So it has a default scan delay. I'm going to change that to 0 seconds just for brevity and time. Sometimes it doesn't like your input on the finger. So there it's set to 0. So I'm going to scan this. I have to do the arming code the first time I scan it, which is located inside this paper, which is laminated inside the box as well. And that arming code is left, left, down, down. So we're set up to scan. So I'm going to try to scan it, and we'll see if we get any sort of result. Ideally, you want some sort of barrier between you and the whatever you're scanning, so it doesn't get everywhere, but you don't need that. It will tell you that you're without a delay, that you need to be careful for explosives. I know this is not explosive, so it's trying to run the scan. So one thing you got to realize is that since this thing is a laser trying to point at one thing, as we're holding it, it could be moving and we could be not getting a good match. So right now we came back with a no match because it really didn't get a good scan, and fluorescent lights kind of mess with it. So we'll try to run some more scans and see if we can get a good match on this. And part of this is showing that sometimes just changing the way you scan it will get you a better scan. So we'll do it right here in the baggie, get that set up on there to where it's nice and close. So I'm going to hit scan again. And one thing you notice, if you hit this target right here, it'll tell you based on how you're scanning it what this aperture needs to be at. So it's in a baggie, so it needs to be at 0.5 to 1 to get through that plastic that's in there. So go back, change my scan delay again. It's always going to default to that for your safety for explosives and dark materials. And you got to remember, this is only designed for bulk scans, so we can't test like a small amount of something on there because the laser can't actually hit it. And even if we thought this was a bag of drugs, if it's a highly cut bag of drugs, it's probably going to not test the fentanyl or the cocaine that could be in there. It's going to hit all the other stuff. So remember, we have other tests for that to be able to do. So again, it came back no match. So we're going to try the vial attachment on here, which usually is our best result. So all that you have to do is unscrew that, screw this one on. Sorry if there's a lot of motion in the camera. And then I already have a vial of this stuff set aside, which there's vials in the box for you. And then if you end up getting a vial and getting a good sample, if you go to send it off, you could put that glass vial in the plastic one that's also in the box, so we could send that to the lab for testing. So we'll close that up so we get a better scan, blocks out that fluorescent light. Set this again to 0. Hit scan. Don't worry about the delay. You can see as that red light's activated, the scan is going. And so now we got a good scan. So it's saying soda ash, sodium carbonate, which is exactly what I pulled it out of at the station. So we'll look at a couple different things this shows us on here. So it has the scan result and the actual cast number right there, and it has some general chemical information on it. It actually won't show you anything else on this, but also if you notice there's the camera right here, so we could actually take a picture of what we scanned, so that way it can all be part of the same report. You could also add notes to this if you wanted. I'm not going to add any notes, but that is also another feature. So if we click on soda ash, it'll tell us what chemical or what it scanned it through and where it was at. But if we go back, then we could click the cast number, and it gives us all the different data. It's probably easier to look this up on your phone or at the command post, but it is all available on the device itself. And then if we look at the scan, when we look at this scan, that yellow line, that's the lab grade version. So it's even more pure than what we have, even though our thing says 99% purity. And the blue scan that's behind it, that's what we actually ran. And if you'll notice, there's no spikes or anything that don't match. And that's really what it's going for. If we had more spikes over here, we would say it's probably a bad scan, even if it gave a match, or that there's something else going on in there. We need to do some more investigation. But that's the base scan on how to do this. And like I said, putting it in the vial and getting in there is going to be the best result. I was running this thing last night, and it took me about 10 times before I actually even got a result with the vial. And all that was I had to clean out the attachment here because something was in there causing a bad scan. So just realize if you're getting bad scans, it could be because you're moving it if you're holding it. It could be because of fluorescent lights, or it could be just that the device is dirty and we need to clean it up a little bit. If we're not getting good readings with this, or we need more definitive stuff, realize we also have some other devices we can use that the science officers can bring out, and one of those is our FTIR, which is another type of laser device, which can do a couple different things. And then we also have the GCMS, which can do some more thorough identification. And just to show you the one other attachment, or the two other attachments we have on here, we'll go back to that original attachment and the stuff that can clip on it. So it can have this attachment, which can hold other vials that aren't like our stock vials we use. All you have to do to set that up is you clip it on, and the vial's held in there. It could be a big old vial, it could be a pill, something like that. And then it also has this attachment to where you can slide a bottle right up to it, and it's going to make it nice and close and help protect against that UV light on there. The last things on this device, if we go back to the main, we could see all of our previous results in here. So we could see we had 2 bad scans and the good one. We could also go into applications, and that really just changes what the libraries are. Generally, I'd say keep it on the general one, because that's going to have all of our stuff, as opposed to only explosives, only narcotics. And then if we go into the global settings and scroll down to device manager, which it's left, right to get into that menu. And where there's this thing called 4C. Now what 4C does is, if we're scanning multiple stuff in a suspected lab, it could tell us that it's a chemical weapon precursor, an explosive precursor, drug precursor, all that based on the multiple scans. So the one thing you have to do is, if you've been scanning multiple items on a different site, and we're going to go in there again, hit 4C, actually go into that and just reset it. That way it doesn't tell you that you're scanning all the same stuff and now having a different precursor, even though you're in a completely different stuff. If you got questions, feel free to call the science officers. We can come out, or give Lieutenant Nichols a call, and he can bring out a bunch of different chemicals that we don't necessarily have at the station, so you can run some more tests on it.